Today, a public meeting was hosted by the United States Postal Service, providing more information on their Delivering for America 10-year plan and how it would impact Sioux Falls. Our Parker Brown was there, and he joined us in studio with our top story at 9 o'clock. Hey, Parker.
Hey, Sam. The meeting was well attended. There were around 70 postal workers and business owners from the Sioux Falls and the surrounding rural communities who made sure their voice was heard in the public comment portion of the meeting.
Modernization and enhancement.
After the presentation from the U.S. Postal Service, attendees were concerned about how moving the regional processing to Omaha, Nebraska would change mail service in Sioux Falls and rural South Dakota.
You have degraded the service to Sioux Falls and probably every community in the country.
Danielle Jones with the American Postal Workers Union says that it doesn't make sense to send mail south and back to Sioux Falls if efficiency is the end goal.
It's interesting that they're saying how it would come through Sioux Falls, be sent out for destinating mail, or the collections will be sent out that way and then come back up to be processed again. That's already in itself one day that we're missing right there, on top of the additional day that we then have to process. They don't want to talk about this efficiency, but this is not an efficient move.
Another concern is what will happen to some of the workers with new equipment and a new model of a local processing center. Some workers may have their job moved to Omaha, but if they don't want to move away from Sioux Falls, the USPS says they won't be laid off, but will have a different role.
That makes me concerned because if they're saying that no employees are losing their positions out of Sioux Falls, that means that they're going to readjust our positions within the facility.
The U.S. Postal Service made sure to specify that no decisions have been made on the plan, but things are in a preliminary stage and could change. The public input was tense today, but they were thankful for the input on their study and say that they will be transparent through this process.
We plan on maintaining service standards. That's why it's just a study right now. We don't have all the information. So we have a study going on right now. The information will be shared. These folks had an opportunity to provide comments. We appreciate everybody coming out today. So as more information comes out, we'll provide that to the public on our findings and go from there.
Now, public comment is open until March 28th. You can find a link to submit any comments or concerns on this story at dakotanewsnow.com.
And Parker, obviously a lot to dissect here. Any questions in terms of addressing the rural aspect of this? Was that addressed?
Yes, they did address some of the concerns about rural areas, but in a way where they could only speak to the Sioux Falls study, and they said that there's going to be further studies down the road. Some of the places mentioned were Huron or Mitchell, and so some of those localities are going to have their own study conducted, and so we'll see how that will affect their postal service.
A developing situation there. Parker, thank you.